in the end. Okay, good evening, everyone. This is Hasbro TV. We got there in the end. So tonight we're going to talk a bit about pre-season, a bit about some transfers, and what's the future for Tottenham. So tonight I've got two guests with me. I've got Josh. Hey, Josh, you all right, mate?
How we doing? Good to be on the show again.
Tommy, finally, I've managed to get you on my channel after how many times I've been on yours. So I'm actually quite happy about that.
I'm happy. I'm delighted. I'm delighted to finally be on. I've done about 2 streams. I've just come off another stream, but it's never enough. I need that Tottenham. As Josh said off here, I need Tottenham injected. I need Tottenham injected into my veins. I'm always happy to talk Spurs.
I mean, I think I could talk Tottenham for hours and hours, but that's just me. So first I'm going to go to Josh, because I know Josh actually went to the game yesterday. So what was it like? Who stood out for you? Should we be excited for next season?
Right. Okay. Let's kick things off. We'll just start with the obvious. Harry Kane, razor sharp. I've never seen him so slim. I've never seen him so quick. His awareness. Obviously, we know his passing game's brilliant. 2 immaculate finishes yesterday. He ran the show. He was absolutely brilliant. Then second to that, I mean, Romero. He gets better and better. When you think he can't get any better, he does. I was having this conversation with some of the Spurs fans in the away end yesterday, and I had the controversial opinion, perhaps, see what you guys think of this. I said he is as good, at least, if not better, than Toby Alderweireld defensively.
Oh, okay.
Don't think he's got the passing game just yet, but that's one of the areas definitely improved. I mean, some of the passes, he did one pass with the outside of his foot across sort of midfield under pressure with 2 defenders closing on him. I thought, wow, he was brilliant. Didn't miss a tackle, didn't put the foot wrong. And then, of course, we got to see a load of the new signings in action. Jed Spence for the first time, Perisic for the first time, Fraser Forster for the first time. And I'll start with Forster, actually. Forster, why is it that, the Rangers fans obviously hate him because he was Celtic, they were booing him. The Spurs fans loved it. It was a bit of the pantomime villain feel. He's 10 times better than Lloris on the ball. I was so worried every time Lloris had the ball at his feet. And I'm sure we've had a couple of years of this now where we signed Lloris and he was amazing with his feet. And he seems to have got progressively better with his hands, but progressively worse with his feet. Forster didn't have an awful lot to do, but on the ball, very, very good. So great to see him there. Definitely not a Galini. Very glad that we got a proper backup keeper. Perisic, probably the best cross I've seen in the last decade in his first shirt yesterday. We didn't win the header from it, but it made me a bit emotional, actually, because I thought, finally, we've got a player that can cross. Because Eriksen, we know he can do it, but for Spurs, he just didn't. I don't know what it was. He could never beat the first man. Basuma took a free kick as well. Basuma was brilliant, looked composed on the ball. Basuma took a free kick. It was a great ball in again. We didn't have the end product. And then, I mean, I keep forgetting. We had Longley on as well. Longley looked really good on the ball. Didn't put a foot wrong. He was composed. Jed Spence, perhaps didn't see enough of him, but the first thing he did do was nick the ball off of one of their attacking players who was in a very dangerous position. Could have, led to a chance, a heavy chance, at least maybe a goal. Just got his toe in there. He looked rapid. He looked sharp. So definitely a lot more to see from him. And then obviously with Charlison, his hold-up play, I did a tweet earlier today, his hold-up play was immaculate. He was great under pressure, linked up well with Moura. I think he'll benefit from playing with Son a bit, because the only improvement I would like to see from him is him darting down the middle a bit more, because I think he could be really dangerous there. But he looked good, and he's only going to get better. He's definitely going to get some goals this season. But what it amazed me more than anything was, and I can talk about the atmosphere, I can talk about the day, later on, but I know I've been talking for a little bit. More than anything was the squad. I looked at that bench. Finally, we've got a squad. We've got a big squad. So ultimately, terrible first half. Turned it around in the second, made some changes. Lucas Moura came on at wing back to start off with. I thought he actually did really well at wing back. I was surprised by that. I know Conte wants to explore that option, but then he also was able to play left wing as well, and I thought he had a really good game. So None of the first touch problems either. So overall, really good day. Glasgow, not a city I would want to hurry back to soon.
Sorry to all the Scottish fans. Sorry to all the Scottish fans.
You told me the stories yesterday.
To be fair, the Glasgow Spurs were brilliant, and there were some Aberdeen fans down that were brilliant. But it made me think actually away from football. I really hope that the politicians there do something to clean up that city, because that city is a great city with so much potential. But it was quite startling seeing some of the stuff that I saw there. But overall, great day out. And if we get Rangers or Celtic in the Champions League, bring it on, 100%, amazing. And Ibrox, what a ground.
I mean, you were telling me a lot in the chat yesterday on WhatsApp about all this stuff that happened, about all these fights and stuff like this. People about what happened.
Yeah, so basically the information we had was that Rangers, who have an affiliation with Chelsea, they brought some of the Chelsea boys up with them. Some of the sort of diehards. And they were singing "Blue is the colour" near us, and we were sat right next to the Rangers fans. There was a lot. It had a proper atmosphere, not just the Scotland-England divide, but there was a real sort of hatred, it felt like, between probably both sets of teams. And then apparently some Millwall fans came up with the Chelsea fans. People charged with, the violence before the game. There was an Aberdeen fan that came down because Aberdeen and Spurs, they have sorts of some fan affiliation. They came basically in case stuff kicked off. And they described some Chelsea fans singing Chelsea and anti-Tottenham songs, with some Rangers fans with balaclavas on spraying glass bottles as Spurs fans, including groups of kids and girls walking up to the stadium, throwing bottles and stuff. So really unpleasant, but it felt like a proper football match. It felt like, there was almost a big rivalry there when I wouldn't have expected it. So, and also, I don't know what Scottish police were thinking, putting Celtic and Rangers at home 3 o'clock kickoffs to 2 English teams at the same time. I mean, what were they thinking? But either way, the competitiveness was good. I think the squad benefited from that. It was just a lot of fun.
So, Tommy, did you watch the game yesterday?
I watched the game. I did watch the game. I watched the first half live. Second half, I was in and out. I was out at the time, so I couldn't watch the whole thing. But I watched the extended highlights after as well. It sounded like a Green Street gathering, according to Josh just there. I wish I went there, man. I wish I went there. It sounded exciting. Look, you can't advocate violence, but I've always wanted to go to one of the big derbies, the big Old Firm derbies. It's definitely on my bucket list, because the passion, even in a friendly like this, the passion from the Rangers and Celtic fans is absolutely incredible. You can see just watching it. You can see just watching it on Spurs play. So, but I think you have to be careful. You have to be careful. Rangers made it to the final of the Europa League last season. It was a mini miracle that they made it, because they sort of struggled in the Scottish League. And Celtic and Rangers haven't made it to the knockout stage in European competition for a very, very long time. So it was a bit of a anomaly, the fact that they got there, and they have sold players. Bassi was probably their most valuable player. When I'd done my solo streams, he was one of the first I put on there, who wasn't an obvious one. I don't like to go to the obvious ones too much, but Calvin Bassi, he's about as versatile as you'd want for a player, centre back, left back, so he could probably play left wing back, and centre mid. One of the best attitudes, great. The opposite to Ndombele, willing to play anywhere, willing to do a job. The coaches that come out, the scouts that come out, his teammates that come out and say, this guy, everybody loves him. So they sold him to Ajax. Ajax know what they're doing when they're signing players, by the way. They signed him. They lost Aribo to Southampton as well. So they lost a few. Morelos wasn't playing. He's their best striker. Yeah. They still had some quality there. Look, Ryan Kent's a very good player. Tavernier, right back, very underrated. So they still had a good team. But look, we have to be careful. And we beat him 2-1. The first half, off attacking, no problem. Attacking, I never doubted the attacking ability of this side. But Kulusevski just impresses me all the time. Look, his end product wasn't great in the first half, but his intelligent runs. He's so smart. He's a level above. He's not naturally fast. He's not naturally quick. He's not slow, but he's not naturally quick. He's not going to speed past you on the byline. He's very much like Son, inside winger. And he done extreme damage for us from January. but he was. I felt like his runs in behind, his decision making is very, very outstanding. And that 3-pronged attack next season is going to be so exciting. And then you've got Richarlison. You've got Richarlison potentially. If any one of them gets injured, you've got Richarlison there as well. So we've sort of got depth. We've got depth, and we're seeing it already. So I'm very happy with that. But defensively, I'm still very, very worried. Not just with the Rangers game, but the other games too. I don't put it down to fitness, because fitness and the basics of football are very different for me. So as a defender, you should be able to mark. Your positioning should be tight. You should be able to do the defensive basics without fitness. Midfielder, the same thing. You should be able to pass extremely well as a midfielder, and strikers should be able to, score one-on-ones without the fitness side of things. So I don't use. I know it's pre-season, but I don't see that fitness thing. And in the 3 games, the cohesiveness is not there, and it hasn't been with Dyer and Sanchez. 12 years between them at Spurs. But look, there's still 5 weeks to the end of the window. I just haven't been impressed in either of those 3 games. Conceding 3 in the K-League, it's the way we're conceding as well. It's very, very similar. Hands behind your back, trying to block shots when you need to be getting your foot in. Very, very deep line. Very, very deep line, which is very good in certain games. Against Man City and Liverpool, you can absorb the pressure and you can counter. That's why we've done very well against them last. I think we're unbeaten against Liverpool, weren't we? Beat Man City twice. So absorbing the pressure, we're fantastic. But players like Eric Dyer, playing ultra deep, we can't get the opposition offside, and we just bring them onto us. And that's a problem going into next season. I don't want Dyer, Sanchez, or Rodon there all the time as a middle centre back. We need someone better. Left centre back, fine. I think Langlay's a fantastic signing. Langley, even though it's free, even though he's just a loan without an option to buy, I think he's a very, very good signing. Pedigree. Thought Davis was brilliant last season. But a middle centre-back, I'll worry. And as you said, Josh, Romero can do anything. He can be anything. He can be, world-class. He's banded about a lot, and he's only had 1 season. But imagine if he's next to a bit more class, Emerson Royal on the right, and a better.
I thought that Dyer was actually quite good yesterday. I thought that Dyer was having to do a lot more because of Davinson Sanchez being really poor. I thought Davinson Sanchez was awful. I thought actually, if you put Dyer and Romero and Longley together, or Romero, Dyer and Davis, it's all right, because we were solid towards the end of the season. That worked. It's when you add Davinson Sanchez to the mix that I think the problem was, because he's a player that relies on his pace, and he was given the absolute runaround by Rabbi Matondo. Rabbi Matondo, by the way, he's going to be some player.
Is he a young American? Is he a young American chap?
I can't remember where he's from, but he's absolutely electric down that right wing. And he gave us the absolute runaround. He reminded me, actually, a lot of Aaron Lennon when he was younger. Slash a little bit of Raheem Sterling about him as well. He was really good. But Sessegnon was rubbish as well. I thought Sessegnon was very poor. Sanchez was very poor. I actually didn't think Emerson was that bad. I thought Emerson was actually okay. He had a poor moment in the first half, one where he should have just played it early, and he didn't. But actually, he made some good runs. He did all right, I thought. But it was having Sanchez and Sessegnon, who wasn't getting back, next to Dyer. I think that was a real problem. And you could see instantly Perisic was winning the ball back way better than Sessegnon, and Longley came in and looked composed straight away. But it was interesting you said that about Dyer, because I was worried when Dyer got substituted. I was there thinking, does Conte want to win this game?
But for me with Dyer, I think if we're being completely brutally honest, I don't think he's the right level for us if we're going to win a title. I just think he makes too many mistakes.
He's tall, and the problem is, unless we have an absolute man mountain. I mean, you see the guy when the players walk into the ground, or if you're sat close by the pitch, the guy is bigger than a fridge.
But is that enough? Is that enough to warrant a place in the Spurs to just be big?
No, but I totally get your point, and I don't think Dyer is good enough. But what I would say is, any replacement, we need someone as physical and as good in the air as Dyer. Because that's the problem, is Romero's not very tall, and his one weak spot is his aerial game. He's not the best at winning headers.
I think our whole back line, the weakness is our aerial game. We should be dominating set pieces. With 3 centre-backs, we should be dominating set pieces. Yesterday, Rangers should have scored from a set piece. The header that they missed was basically on the line.
We brought in a coach as well. So
But
hopefully he does something about it.
I don't see this rhetoric of Dyer being a leader. I think he's been there 7 years. He should be leading that backline from set pieces.
I think he's a leader in terms of his attitude on the training ground.
I think he's look absolutely off the pitch. Him and Emerson, fantastic. They, you know,
it was Romero that was marshalling the back line actually, and I was having this conversation with my dad on the train, and I said Romero actually for me has more captain qualities than Dyer does, and even more so Ben Davies, because Ben Davies, you know, with Romero, you've got a player that reads the game, you know, defensively reads the game better than anyone else in the team. And then you've got Davis, who puts his body on the line more than any other player in the team. He will take a ball in the face.
I think he was our most consistent centre-back last season because Romero was injured. Romero was injured for about... We forget that Romero only started 21 games in the league last year. He missed 17, 18 games. And he wasn't great early on in the 4-4-2. So, I mean, he was you know, he's getting used to a new league, the best league in the world. So the 4-4-2 formation wasn't good for Romero. As soon as he went to 3, we saw what he'd done at Atlanta, or how he got Serie A Defender of the Year. Magnificent. As I said, if he's got better, I personally think better middle centre back next to him, better right wing back. Who knows? The jury's out with Spence. He's coming into a new league, mate. He can't be worse than Emerson for me. He can't be worse than Emerson. Doherty had a good 5 weeks. Doherty had a good 5 or 6 weeks last season. So I'd like to see Emerson gone and maybe, you know, Spence and Doherty fighting for that right wing back row.
Who would you start, Tommy, on the first day of the season then? At right wing back.
This is the thing. We're not at the training ground. So we don't, you know, whoever Conte sees.
I'm saying, I'm saying in your opinion,
if I'm just looking at what I've seen with the footballers, then you've got to go Doherty. Because Doherty,
yeah, I would say the same thing.
Wolves finished 7th in the first 2 seasons. They got promoted with a very weak team, and Doherty was massive at right wing back for them. Every time he played against us, it was absolutely outstanding. His first season at right back, no, he wasn't great. But Spence, the jury's out. It's going to be difficult. He's coming from the Championship. He's got a lot of attitude issues from people behind the scenes. Are saying there's cockiness, over attitude, over toxicity in many ways. Neil Warnock wasn't a fan. His fellow teammates. I know a few people that went to school with Spence, and they're saying this boy was.
Oh, really?
You know, this boy's cocky. I just done a stream with Jacob, and he says the same thing. It was like didn't really get on with people. But look, if you're good enough, it doesn't matter. You can have that cocky, you can have that edge. But the jury's out, definitely with Spence. But I think I'm happy with those two over Emerson. For definite.
Yeah.
But we need that middle centre back. We absolutely need that middle centre back. For me, Davis was our most consistent left centre back. That's a problem in itself, and I think we struggle aerially. Even Dyer in the air, when he headers the ball out, look at his heading accuracy. Look at his head where it goes. It almost always goes to the opposition. I was doing screenshots. I do screenshots after my reactions at the start of last season, and I'm looking at where he's heading the ball every time, and he's straight to the opposition. I don't see a strength in Dyer's game, to be honest with you. I just don't see a strength in his game. So I think it's essential we need to replace him. We're running out of alternatives because Koulibaly's gone. Koulibaly would have been magnificent. Bremer would have been magnificent. So we're running out of alternatives. There's still alternatives out there. We've still got 5 weeks. We've still got 5 weeks to the end of the window. But for me, if we want to get into the top 4, because this season's going to be tougher, because everybody's going to be strong. Man United are going to be stronger. Newcastle, the top 4 form from January. The teams around us are going to be stronger. So we need to be better. The back line needs to be better than last season. That back line won't get us top 4, I don't think. But look, we've made changes. I said Langlay's a great signing. Langley and Davis fighting left centre-back. Spence and Doherty preferred than Emerson. But it's essential we get that middle centre-back. Basuma, brilliant. Basuma, absolutely brilliant. The front line, brilliant with the backup with Richarlison. We can even compete for titles. For me, if we really sort the defence out, this time next season, I think we can fight for titles. I do. With Conte as well, I think we can fight for titles. But there's a few things that still need fixing for me.
I'm in total agreement about the middle centre back, by the way, because I don't think Dyer is that level that we need to actually win a title. So I agree with you, Tommy. But
are you in agreement about the right wing back? Because it's very divisive. It's very divisive, the right wing back position.
So I'm going to throw something at you, Josh.
I'm with you on Dyer, 100%. I think Dyer isn't good enough. And actually, Longley at left centre-back, Ben Davis, I'm okay with that. I
I'm
don't
happy
think
with that.
Ben Davies has done anything to deserve not being in the team other than being injured. Centre back, definitely. And that the thing that you can do with that is you can play a right-footed centre back like Dyer is, or you could get a left-footed centre.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
for me, there's two players that I would target in those positions. And sorry, it's not your £50 million world beater that everyone knows from Real Madrid or Barcelona or somewhere like that. For me, it's Mark Guehi at Crystal Palace or it's Max Kilman at Wolves. Either of those two, I think, would massively improve the team. And both would meet that English quota as well. Because that's the thing we've got to remember. If we do get rid of Dyer, which I don't think we will, I think he'd stay in the squad. Because I think actually...
He actually doesn't count as homegrown because he was at Sporting Lisbon.
No, he doesn't. But you've got... We do still need to solve that problem. And for me, I'd clear off Sanchez quicker than anyone else. That'd be the first one.
Yeah, he needs to go. We can still get money for him. I reckon we can still get money for him as well. I think we can get money. But
it's the money that brings me onto the right wing back. I'm sorry, I'm not having any of this Doherty nonsense.
What?
Doherty had one good month of which we lost to Burnley and Middlesbrough when he played, right? The only one was Manchester City. That was the only game in which he had a very good game, but the whole team had a very good game. We still conceded 2 goals that game, right? We did win, and it's City. And to be fair, conceding 2 goals away at City is not bad, especially if you score 3. But I'm not having that. He's 29, 30 or whatever. He's not going to command a very big fee. Emerson, however, is one of those players, and I don't rate Emerson. The sooner we clear both of them out of the club, the better. But Emerson at least can command an all right fee. I don't think it's worth keeping Doherty or Emerson. But if you're going to pick one, Emerson's better defensively. He is a better defensive player.
I disagree. I disagree.
Yeah.
Emerson as an actual right back is better than Doherty as an actual right back. Doherty's a better wing back, sure. He's better going forward. But I think clear both of them out. I'd rather Lucas Moura at right wing back than either of those two. And actually, Moura, I thought, did quite well when he was playing there. For me, Jed Spence, interesting one. Yes, he's got that. He's got a bit of the Dele Alli about him, doesn't he? He's got a bit of the... He knows he's bloody good. And that's...
Do you think, Josh, that Spence is a Conte signing? Because after what Conte came out with...
No, but what I think that was referring to was not that it wasn't a Conte player, was that he didn't do the negotiation. Because the negotiation was... Paratici does... the ones abroad, and when he was over abroad doing the stuff in Italy, and when he's been doing the other talks, Levy's been dealing with the stuff in England. That was my understanding of it, was that was what it was. And I don't think it is Conte, it's Conte saying, I didn't want this player. I think far from it. I think that the club's been looking at it for a very long time. They've been looking at him for a very long time. Remember, Conte comes in and they replace the scouting staff at the club. And they have about 15 video analysts that they've brought in and people watching these games. They're doing an overhaul of the whole system. Spence reminds me of Kyle Walker when Kyle Walker first came into the Spurs team. Definitely not the complete product. Young player, but bags of potential. And the way that he marauds down that right is very impressive. And I watched a lot of Forest last season. I've got a soft spot for them because I went to uni there, watched quite a few Forest games when I was over at uni. And so I've always kept an eye on them. And whenever they're on TV, I watch them. And Spence was not just brilliant against Arsenal and Leicester. He was brilliant game in, game out in the Championship, which is not an easy league. And considering
he got Team of the Year. He was in Team of the Year, wasn't he?
Considering he was one of the main reasons they got promoted. And considering that Borough got rid of him because of his attitude, and bear in mind, Warnock's an old school manager and he likes an old school attitude, right? So he is just a byproduct of the modern football system, whether we like it or not. He is that player that will make a meal of a challenge and go down and win you a free kick. He is that player that's a bit of a whiny sort of player, but he's got bags of potential. And for me, he needs to be given a consistent run of games and see if he can do it. Because why on earth are we thinking of giving consistent run of games to Emerson and Doherty? And bear in mind, Emerson actually played a very important role to finishing off the end of last season. He was outstanding against Liverpool.
I think he had no. I do. That was the one good game. I think he did have one good
And
game
he
against.
was, I mean, I know,
Liverpool, but then I think it's the same
argument
argument with Doherty when you said, Doherty, he lost to Burnley with him in the team and stuff. But look, we won the last 3 games of last season without Romero. Sanchez was in there, so do we say Sanchez is better than Romero? So without conceding a goal, because we scored 9 and we conceded 0 without Romero and Sanchez was there. So I don't think it necessarily makes them better players, but I'll do 100% agree with you that people went too far with the Doherty thing because he just had a decent month, 5-6 weeks.
No, but I think for me,
I agree with you. I agree with you there, but I'm still moving Emerson on. I move
both of them on though. But the thing is, I saw clearer signs of Emerson improving, and I'm not saying. And the bar was so low, it doesn't take a lot to improve.
I think that's the thing.
Yeah.
Either way, Emerson being a younger player, and he does seem to be liked around the dressing room. You see the way that he's engaging with the players; they do seem to like him. He just showed me more signs of improvement than Doherty, who shouldn't have needed to improve because he was coming from Wolves, having done really well there, and he should have just settled into this team nicely. Played plenty of Premier League games. Remember Doherty, he went through the ranks at Wolves from League One up to the Premier League, right? So he wasn't playing top flight until more recently, and he should have been able to settle. And I think that Doherty is a championship player for me. But then I'm not saying Emerson's a Premier League player either. I think Emerson's a brilliant player in La Liga or Serie A or wherever he wants to go that's not Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. But there's a reason why there's interest in Emerson, and we're not seeing that interest in Doherty.
But Emerson's also younger, and Doherty is 29, so you've got to factor that in as well.
I'd rather give a chance to a player who is younger that can improve than Emerson, and that's all I'm saying.
When I look at Emerson, I always look at potential. I always try and see if I see a bit of potential in someone, I'm like, okay, there's something here to work with. With Emerson, I don't see anything. Forget about the attacking side of the game. Forget about his crossing in pre-season. Surely, law of averages, you're going to get a ball to your teammate. It's incredible that you just simply cannot get across to one of his teammates. It just doesn't happen. But defensively, I have to disagree with you defensively. As I said, I was a defensive scout. And it's difficult because, look, we don't focus on the defence. You want to focus on what's going forward. I get that, 100% get that. And I watch the games after. So, you probably don't watch that. A lot of Spurs fans don't. His one-on-one defending is the worst I've ever seen from a defensive player. His one-on-one defending is horrible. His positioning is horrible. But do you know what I liked about him? At the end of last year, he knew his limitations. How bad he was. So he just stayed back. He just stayed back a lot of the time. And against Liverpool, he was good because he stayed back and he got in the way of a lot of passes out wide. He sort of nodded them away. He stayed flat and he wasn't crossing the ball. He gave the ball straight to Kulusevski. He was like, he knows you can't cross, so just give it to Kulusevski. So I saw improvements, and I don't think he's a bad egg at all. I don't think he's a bad egg. Seems like a very nice guy. But we need to move the nice guys out. We need some nasty bastards. We need. I totally agree with you. We need Roy Keane in there. We need a John Terry. We need some nasty bastards because there are too many nice guys. There are too many nice guys in this Spurs team for me.
It's true, and Dyer is one of them. But it was totally true. But that's exactly my point about Emerson. Is he's not a wing back. That's what I said. If we'd signed him as a right back in a system that played a back four, a flat back four, 4-2-3-1, he'd have been a much better right back in the Pochettino team, probably.
I don't know about that.
I'm just saying.
Even under Nuno, he was really bad, wasn't he?
Yeah, but Nuno's the worst manager I think this club has ever had. So that's an anomaly anyway. I don't think we can judge. Harry Kane was absolutely dreadful under Nuno, but we give him the benefit of the doubt because it's Harry Kane, and then he turns it around. So my point is, I just think in that system, he's not a wing back, and we play a wing back system. Therefore, we've got to move Emerson on. But all I'm saying is, if we had to keep one, I don't think Doherty is good enough going forward or defensively. At least Emerson can stay back and do okay. And Doherty can't win a header from a cross. At least Emerson could do that. Doherty can't get in the way of anything. At least Emerson can do that. The only thing that Doherty, I think, is actually better than Emerson at is crossing the ball for one, yes. and
And
two,
standing up, and probably standing up. I'll see Emerson spend
standing
more
up,
time on the floor.
probably. And the other third thing is he's got 2 feet slightly more than Emerson, right? Fair enough. But I think Emerson's a better passer of the ball on the ground. He thinks quicker. He'll get the ball to his feet and he'll pass it on quicker. But either way, if we're talking about Emerson Royale and Doherty, you know, and there wasn't the Spurs context, you'd think we'd be talking about a relegation side. That's how bad the two of them are. Both of them.
Well, to be honest with you, that's a great point you make, because two seasons ago when we finished 7th, right, and Kane got the top assist maker and top goal scorer, how can you have the best duo in the league in Kane and Son? How can you have the best duo in the league and finish 7th, the best attacking duo in the league in 7th? That's because your defense is a shambles. Your defense is an absolute shambles. It's a bottom 5 defense. Even with Alderweireld, his legs were gone. His legs were gone at that point. So the improvements need to be in defence. And I'm happy we've spent 30 minutes talking about the defence, because I think all of us can come to the conclusion that the attack is mind-blowingly good. Mind-blowingly good. League-winning standard, without a doubt. League-winning standard.
But that's the thing. I think that's what it comes down to. It's the fact that we need, as you say, we need to match the quality that we've got. And I think even now in midfield, and I will say Bentancur, I thought he had a terrible game. He made one really good tackle, but I thought he was really poor yesterday. And it might have just been a blip, but he was nowhere. Do you know what? Actually, I'll give him some credit. I don't know whether it was a tactical decision that he was told to man mark Tom Lawrence, because he stuck to Tom Lawrence really, really well.
Yeah.
But
he goes dog. You can hear the dog. Yeah.
Bissouma, oh my God, head and shoulders above Bentancur. And I thought Højbjerg worked really hard. He did well, as he always does. A lot of fans don't like Højbjerg. I really like Højbjerg. I think he's a player that he's not good for every single game. But in the games that are like Rangers or like Chelsea or like Liverpool, or the games where you have to have a scrap and you have to have a fight, Højbjerg you need in your team. Simple as. Bissouma was just exceptional, though. The way that he moved on the ball. There was one pass he did where he was getting completely crowded around and he got his foot about that high. It looked like it was about head height to volley the ball back to, I think it was Lloris at the time. Brilliant back pass. I didn't see that pass, but he did. He looked good. But it's about matching that. I think, you know, we all know Romero's qualities. We know Perisic's qualities. I think, although Perisic wasn't on the ball much, what he did do was really good and really promising. We know he's
how long was he on, Perisic? I forgot how long was he on?
About 25 minutes.
I think it wasn't long. It was like 20.
That cross into the box was fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't know about the best cross ever, but it was a very good cross.
He was like
best cross ever.
At the legs, he was winning the balls that you wouldn't expect us to win. The ones that Sessegnon would, you know, let go. I mean, we know he's going to be good, but like I say, I mean, for me, Jed Spence, I've got a lot of faith in him. I think the fact that he's tall is a nice addition. Having a tall fullback that's as quick and good on the ball as he is exciting. And it'd be interesting to see how his aerial game is. But for me, you asked Tommy who you'd start. I would start Spence. 100%. Given the
okay, going on to the midfield, because you mentioned Bissouma and Bentancur and Højbjerg. Who would you be a starting duo on the first day of the season then? Because I'd go Bissouma and Bentancur.
Bissouma, Højbjerg.
You go Højbjerg.
It's difficult for me because I think Skip's going to be a future Spurs captain. I do. I think he's going to be a future Spurs captain. I feel like the first half of last season, him and Son were our best players. I honestly do.
Skip was brilliant.
Whenever we left Skip out, we were in trouble. When we lost 3-0 to Chelsea, I was at the game. We were 3-0 down to Arsenal, I think, at half-time. We only got back into the game in the second half when he came on at half-time. So Skip, and I think he's young enough to adapt into any role right now. He will never be the number 10, who's going to the Eriksen type man. He will never be that, but he definitely could be box to box. He's more deep. He's more deep now. He played very deep for Norwich when they got promoted. He was fantastic in that team. But he looks to. I saw him December time before he got injured on the right wing. I saw him speeding it past on the right wing because we really lacked creativity.
He's quicker than he looks, this Skip, as well.
He is a fantastic player.
I think his passing is really underrated as well.
He is underrated, full stop, because we've only had half a season. We're a fickle fan base. I'm fickle as well, because we missed him the second half of last season, so we forget about him. but he's quality. Bentancur, both-footed, it makes a big difference.
What I would say though is that Højbjerg and Skip are like for like. Højbjerg is a player that you want in
at the moment, definitely. At the moment, they're both.
I actually think that is the position for Skip. I think he's, because the tackles that he makes, the way he reads the game, the fact that he doesn't care if he has someone's stud go through his shin and he has to pull it out at full time. He doesn't care about that. Those two for me are like for like, and Bentancur does seem to like to get forward more. But for me, Bentancur's a good option to have. Skip's a great option to have. For me, it's a case of Højbjerg and Skip, I think, can rotate depending on the game. Bissouma's starting no matter what. Bissouma is streets above Bentancur. And
you really think that? Bentancur's in the fan base, our fan base love Bentancur. Really love
I
Bentancur.
really like him too. And I think there is things that he does that is really, really, really good. There was a great tackle. But the thing that I worry about with Bentancur is his fitness. And I know that might be a surprise to hear that, but a lot of our defensive troubles yesterday were actually caused by the hole that was left because Bentancur was too busy. And I don't know whether, and this might not, do you know what? If this wasn't Bentancur's fault, apologies to him. I know he might not even be, he probably won't listen to this, but
He probably watched it. I heard he's watching it now. I don't want
he's drinking his mate, spitting it out.
Yeah.
No, but he was good at man marking Tom Lawrence, and he stuck to him like glue. But that was risky because Tom Lawrence is a bit of a free roam. He gets everywhere, and he was drifting to the right, he was drifting to the left. There was that gap there, and Højbjerg can't be expected to do all of the defensive work for Bentancur. Whereas when Bissouma comes on, Bissouma was not only winning the one-on-ones defensively, winning the tackles, winning the 50-50s, the whole unit was stronger and we weren't so leaky at the back. And that was what worried me, was Bentancur was leaving big gaps. And with Bissouma, you're not going to do that. And I think you can play both in the same team. But I actually really like Højbjerg. I think I like what Højbjerg does. I think he's a warrior. And I think you do need, because Bissouma is a box-to-box. The first thing I said to my dad yesterday was, when I saw him come on, was, oh my God, he's got the exact same body type as Paul Pogba. Like the exact same body type. But he's quicker. And so it made me think, yeah, brilliant. He's forward thinking. He can do all of that. He's just generally quite solid. But you do need that defensive presence in that midfield, especially whilst we're in a situation, as we all agree, where our defence is not good enough and we need another centre-back. So as long as that defensive situation isn't solved, you need Højbjerg in that team, or Skip.
But don't you think Bentancur, I find the massive advantage with having him in over, say, Højbjerg or Skip, is that his recycling of the ball is a lot better. And also I think Bentancur can play a deeper role as well. And he can play deeper role.
When he's closed down, he can go left or he can go right equally.
He's amazing under pressure. He is.
He's incredible under pressure.
I actually think that's one thing Højbjerg doesn't get enough credit for, was the transformation in Højbjerg's passing game under Conte was massive. From January onwards, Højbjerg was making passes, long balls, switches, getting the ball out his feet quicker, because that was the thing with Højbjerg that annoyed me, was the ball was stuck to his foot like glue, not in a good sense. When the ball stuck to your foot and I would say the same for Bentancur, right? Bentancur has the ball stuck to his foot like glue in the way that he could pirouette or scoop turn someone. But Højbjerg had the ball stuck to his boots like they were, Gorilla glued on, right? The ball was physically stuck. He was tripping over. He was tackling himself almost. He's improved that massively. And I think what it was with Højbjerg was not his first touch. His first touch was good. It was his second touch. He gets the ball to feet. Great. It's what does he do then? And there were a few moments. There was one moment in particular in the first half where he was under a lot of pressure and he turned away using the outside of his right foot, turned away and played the ball back and recycled really well. Because it was right in front of us. And I thought, that is much better from Højbjerg. And I thought, that is the one side of his game he needed to improve, and he has done. So, I don't know. I love Bentancur. I love Højbjerg. I love Basuma. I love Skip.
I think they're brilliant options. I think we've got
Mm.
brilliant options in there.
Can you?
We're going to have to leave two of them out. It's going to
that.
be difficult for Conte to leave two of them out. It's going to be difficult because they all want to play. You can see that all Skip just wants to play every game. Højbjerg needs to play every game. Benny as well, and Bissouma, they're used to playing every game too. Yeah, I like them all. It's good to hear your point of view, your fresh point of view on the centre mids, because usually with Spurs fans, it's he's good or bad, he's great or shit. So it's good to get in a little bit more analysis, just get into a bit of depth about it, and it's good to hear it because a lot of people, are very much pro Bentancur. He's the first man. If you're going to pick a centre mid, it's Bentancur and someone else, from what I've heard. But I tell you what, with Bentancur, last season against the big teams, he was bad because you don't get as much time. You don't get as much time against the big teams. I remember when he played Man United, not great, really, really poor when we lost 3-2 to Man United. So maybe, Juventus sold him for a reason. Juventus replaced him with Zakaria. And the same with Kulu. I think Kulu's made for this league. And he did have Dybala in front of him. And look,
Well, I mean, what happens as well when you're playing Bayern Munich away on the Wednesday and you're then playing Bournemouth on, the Saturday, Sunday, right? You play Basuma and Højbjerg in the Champions League game, and then you play Bentancur and Skip in the Premier League game, and that's a great midfield pairing that you know is going to deliver in that game. That's the thing. You made a great point about Bentancur against the smaller teams because he was dynamite against Norwich. But, put Skip and Bentancur together against a smaller team, unbelievable. And then you've got Basuma and Højbjerg that can play against the bigger teams because that's one thing you do know with Højbjerg is that he's one of those players that against the big teams, he will step up when other players don't, and he will work really hard. And then, if Skip plays so well against those smaller teams that he earns a place in the Champions League, so be it. And the same with Bentancur. The good thing is, either way, we're going to have so many games this season. All four of them are going to get at least 25 games, 30 games next season, which is brilliant. And it means we can attack on all four fronts.
Yeah, it's incredible depth.
I think, also with Bentancur, you make a really good point. Because maybe against low block sides, he might even play Bentancur with Basuma, even. I mean, it's a possibility. Because we'll have so much of the ball, and you need to break those lines. I mean, we'll go on to this low block stuff in a minute anyway, because I'm going to go into something else. But so you're going to need more of like a playmaker sort of role where someone can recycle the ball quicker. So someone like Bentancur playing with Basuma, I think, helps a lot. Okay, so I'm going to go on the tangent about Zaniolo and Maddison, because... So do you guys think we need an attacking midfielder? Josh?
Yes, we do. Not crucial, but it's options, right? And, when I think about it, football with the additional subs, we've got 5 subs, remember. It looks like football's going to become, and I hate to say this, a bit more like American football, and I don't mean that in a negative way. So it's a big sweeping statement that I need to explain. What I mean by that is we've got set piece coaches, we've got analysts for every position. Tommy, you said you're a defensive scout. There's attacking scouts that attack midfield, look for, technically gifted players. There are scouts that look at goalkeepers. There are scouts that look at all sorts of things. There are coaches that deal with all sorts of things. The biggest problem that Tottenham face is the low block teams. The teams, and I just said Brentford away in the chat last season, right? And you made a point about Basuma and Bentancur. If we'd had Basuma and Bentancur, we'd have won that game. But with a set piece coach now, and with those types of games, that is where you're going to need a number 10. If the system's not working, go into a 3-4-1-2 and you go Son and Kane up top, or Son and Richarlison, or Kane and Richarlison, and you play a 10. You're going to need those options. And for me, I don't think James Maddison is coming to Spurs to sit on the bench. So that's why, not sure. Zaniolo, probably more willing to, but at the same time, Zaniolo, good player, very talented, not for me. And I watch a lot of Italian football. And I support Italy as well as England, as you know, has. My dad grew up there, so I've watched a lot of Zaniolo. I've watched a lot of Zaniolo for Roma. I've watched, him going through the youth teams in Italy. He is technically gifted, but there are better players for Spurs.
So who would you? Because the only names that I've heard are Zaniolo and Maddison. So who would you go for if you had a choice? Like realistically, of course. Like we're going to sign
Paqueta. There's a lot of people talking about Paqueta. He plays in the same position.
He's a good player. He's a very good player. A lot of Spurs fans then also worried about, we bought Ndombele from Lyon and look how that turned out.
Yeah, I know exactly. Yeah.
I'm going to throw a wild one out there, and I might get shot down. I don't think we need a number 10 that's going to start for us. I think we need someone that can be an impact sub, because our system doesn't use a number 10. And what I would throw out there is, obviously there's the option of Kane dropping deep and having Richarlison and Son, which is okay. But set pieces, what have you. I really like Brennan Johnson. And
you can tell you're from Nottingham. You can tell you're from Nottingham way. You can tell
I think we're looking at Brennan Johnson.
It's not just that. It's just how he played for Wales as well. He was superb for Wales in the recent games and in a key part for them qualifying for the World Cup. He had an amazing season. He's both-footed. He's not just a championship player. He's a fully fledged international playing a key part in a Wales side, which is a good Wales side where they're not gifted with the best footballers. But I think Spurs need a young player that would be happy to learn under Conte, happy to improve in the squad, earn their place, fight for a place. There's enough Welshmen at Spurs to, Forest would never want to let him go. Forest really wouldn't. His dad played for Forest. Forest means a lot to him. But for me, I don't think it's worth spending 50 million on Maddison or Zaniolo. Neither of them. Maddison obviously would improve the team. Obviously would. But for me, I'd rather spend 25 million on Brennan Johnson, and you've got a player that you can mould into what you want to make him. Because Conte can do that. Conte can develop players. So that's just one for me. There's other options as well. But yeah, and that's enough of my... Is
that no for Maddison, no for Zaniolo?
For Brennan Johnson. Maddison I'd be happy with. I just don't particularly like him as a person. I don't like his attitude. I don't like... He hates Spurs, the way he plays against us and some of the stuff he does, the way he gets rolled up against Spurs. He's just a little bit of one of them players that, a bit like Richarlison, a bit of a wind-up merchant.
But don't we need more of those?
Yeah, but you don't want a game where you play, where you're playing away to Liverpool and you're in a title race and we do what we did at the Bridge, the Battle of the Bridge. That's the other thing. It's knowing when to do it and when not to do it. And I think Bentancur's got that. Højbjerg's got that. Richarlison's definitely got that. Romero's got that. Davis has got that. Kane has shown that he's got that. Son has even shown that he's got that with the little, studs up on Rudiger. I don't think we need to flood the team with that. I think we've actually got enough of those clever players now. I think that now I'd look for, a number 10 that can do the business off the bench and give you something a little different. And what Brennan Johnson is rapid. He's good between the lines. He's good at those little one-touch passes. And do you know what? I hate to say it. I really hate to say it, but Odegaard would be good in this team. Odegaard from Arsenal.
He's very underrated. I've just done an Arsenal stream. With 2 Arsenal fans on and a few Spurs fans on. They don't really like him. But whenever I've seen Odegaard play, I think he's brilliant. I think he's absolutely brilliant.
One-touch stuff is great. And that's the thing. We need a player that can do the one-touch stuff.
Do you think he'd fancy the move?
Well, can I just get this out?
Eric Thorsbet is on the blower to him.
Can I just get this out here? We are not signing a number 10. We are not signing a number 10. We are not signing a number 10. It's not.
Why
happening. Not in a million years are we signing a number 10. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. I'm looking at things. Look, everybody likes a creative player. Everybody likes a flary player like a Zaniolo and a Maddison. 2 terrific players. But you've got to look at things from Conte's perspective. 3-4-3. As I said, you can't we're already going to. We've just talked about the centre midfielders we're going to leave out. It's going to be very difficult to leave 2 centre midfielders out. We're going to put Maddison in at centre midfielder for £60 million, who's worth that £60 million. Basically, he's got the reputation as a number 10. We don't play for number 10. If we played a 3-5-2, it's a different situation. If we wanted the number 10, we would have signed Eriksen. We would have put a bid in for Eriksen at the start of the window. I'm convinced of that. We would have put a bid in for him. We are not spending 60, 70 million on a Zaniolo or a Maddison. We've done our business. With Bissouma, we've done our business in centre midfield.
How about Paqueta, though? Don't you think we can go for him?
The thing that we could have had, the creativity we could have had was a deep centre midfielder, like Conte's had in the past, in his past jobs. Juventus in Italy, he had the best, Pirlo. At Chelsea, when he won the titles, he had Fabregas. He turned him into a deep centre midfielder who could spray the ball around. Inter was Brozovic. So I love Bissouma, but it prevented us from getting a deep midfielder that can do that because we're not going to have 5 centre mids when we only play with 2. So I love Bissouma. I think Bissouma was too good to turn down because the guy's worth 50. He is worth 50, 60 million pounds. Even though they're quite similar, it's quite similar to what we've got. He can adapt. He can definitely adapt. He was limited at Brighton. He had to play the man marking role. So we've seen in a Brighton shirt, and I think Bissouma can adapt. But in terms of a number 10, it's just not happening. It's not happening. You've got a 25-man Champions League squad. You need a backup for every position. So it's 22, 11, 22. You need 3 goalkeepers. You have to have 3 goalkeepers. We've still got about 32 players now. We've got 3 right wing backs, 3 left wing backs, 7 centre backs. We've got 7 centre backs. We've got about a 28, 29-man squad. And we're not spending 60 million. I love Maddison. I agree. He's a bit too cocky for me. And the best barometer are the fans of his club. Leicester fans hate him. Leicester fans absolutely hate him. I know more, after Spurs, I know a fair amount about Leicester and Wolves. For some reason, I stream with quite a few Leicester and Wolves fans. They do not like Maddison's over-cockiness. Even though he had 20 goal contributions last season, I think scored 12 and 8 assists, or the other way around. They don't like him. They don't like him with his cockiness, his cocky attitude. £67 million on an option that can come off the bench when Conte never, ever has used options. In any of his previous jobs, he never changes formation, even when he's losing. He very rarely changes personnel. So looking at it from Conte's perspective, we're not signing number 10. And Conte's our manager. So, yeah, it's just... I had to talk about it on my solo stream because everyone talked about it, but I said the same thing all the time. It doesn't make any sense.
But don't you think he can play like off the right or something where Kulusevski plays even?
We've got Lucas.
Lucas is going to be converted to his right wing back though. That's why.
We've got 3 right wing backs. You're going to make a 4th right wing back out of a natural right winger.
No, I'm saying
you. No, but I think that was the thing. Conte said that he wanted to try it out because Moura. He's quite good at the little nicking the ball off players' feet. He's actually, I think, quite good at one-on-one tackling. He's not the strongest, but the guy is a bloody salmon the way he leaps up in the air to win.
Oh, yeah.
So why not use that? And if he's, playing as a wing back, not only can he overload when Kulusevski cuts in and go down and give you an option on the right. Moura, I think, actually, I don't think he's horrendous at crossing. But he also gives you that option, especially as he gets a bit older as well. I think that what he did was he played right wing back, looked good. Then he ended up moving to left wing and he looked good. Like, it was weird. Moura, I thought, was really good yesterday. And I'm a big Moura fan. I don't get.
I'm a big Moura fan. Well. I said Skip and Son. I forgot Lucas.
Which is just ridiculous when you think, hang on a minute, you would not have had your jolly to Madrid if it wasn't for him. And it's not just that. It's other games. I mean, that goal he scored against Norwich, he has done a lot of good things at the club. And if he was to ever leave, at the point at which he leaves the club, I will look back and think, I bloody loved Lucas Moura when he was at the club. He got the club. He loves the club. And he gave us a good service. Of course, he's not as good as Kulusevski on that right wing position. But that's the thing. There's no room for Moura to play when you've got Kulusevski. There isn't.
It's very odd. It's very odd with Lucas because you can say he can play at left wing back. When we played a 4-2-3-1, we struggled with the cam position. We're playing a cam position, right? And we struggled with it because we were top in December, if you remember, with Ndombele in number 10, Højbjerg and Sissoko next to each other. The problem was Sissoko got injured and he never recovered. His legs went. So we had to drop Ndombele back next to Højbjerg, and we didn't have a number 10. Lucas played a lot as a number 10 in the final part of last season. And because of that, he's sort of turned into a number 10 when he's on the right wing. He does a lot of his good work centrally. And if you look at the first half of last season, practically all the creativity was coming from Lucas. We had very little creativity coming from elsewhere. Lots of it, because Kane wasn't at it. So Lucas was taking the ball in the middle of the park, taking players on, not beating them all the time. His passing was brilliant. I watched the highlights of last season. His reverse passing was absolutely brilliant. And we got Son injured at the end of that season as well. And you make the point, left wing back. He moved on to the left wing, right-footed, was brilliant. At left wing, on the left wing as well, Lucas. He was brilliant at number 10 and he was brilliant on the left wing. So he gets a lot of flack. He's a sort of nice guy I want to keep. He is an option off the bench. The best options you're going to get off the bench are wingers. I think it's going to change the game. It's going to change the game.
How good is Mora with the fact that you can literally shove him anywhere on the pitch and he'll give it a good go and he'll try his hardest?
And there'll be quality there as well. I think there's quality there as well. Well,
this is the thing. So, Tommy, you mentioned how you watch Spurs games afterwards. I do the same exact thing. It's a habit I picked up from my dad because he religiously does it.
But you're looking at the attacking side. You're probably looking at the attacking side. I'm looking at the boring defensive side.
To be honest, I'm kind of just looking at the whole picture, really. I love looking at the attacking side. I do like looking at the defensive side as well. But I'm looking at Lucas Moura and I'm thinking what fans are giving him a rollicking for in the stadium. If you watch it back and you see the runs that he does, because one of the best things Moura does is not only run to the ball, go to the ball and get it and turn out and dribble through players, but he makes great runs to create the space for other players that other players in the team don't do. He will make that run and drag a defender because of his pace, which will set Kulusevski away or will set Son away. And people don't give him the credit that he deserves for that. But you only see it when you watch it back because you're too busy.
I think with Lucas is that he'll never be the quality you need as like a top starter, if that makes sense. But at the same time, you need to keep him around because you need valuable squad players. And Lucas is the kind of guy who, like you said, he'll just come in and at any position give it 100%. He loves the club as well, I think.
100%. You're so right.
Yeah. And I think also, like I said, he's not going to start every game. I think it's good he's adapting, also playing as a right wing back or a left wing back, because Kulusevski's coming in, he's not going to get a game on that side probably anyway. So he has to kind of adapt himself. And
look,
if you get rid
of Emerson and Doherty, I'll take him at right wing back. No problem.
I still think we need another one, sure. And for me, and I've said this so many times, Joachim Mæhle, for me, 100%. Left, both-footed, can play both wing-back positions, can play in midfield if you need him to. I actually think Zinchenko is a really smart signing for Arsenal for that reason.
I like him a lot, actually.
He can play where you want to put him, and his ball delivery is exceptional. You know, Spurs.
One of my questions to the Arsenal boys, the Arsenal Spurs stream, was who do you take out of the transfer dealings of the other club so far? And everyone pretty much said Jesus on the Tottenham side. I was like, no, Zinchenko. When I do preview streams with Man City, I used to always say, you need a left back though, surely. Surely you need a left back. Zinchenko's not good enough. Every preview I've done it with, they were like, no, Zinchenko is an 8 out of 10 every week, at least a 7 out of 10, but 7, 8 out of 10, completely solid, very, very solid, and can offer a bit in attack. So Man City fans
love the highlights. His ball distributions like De Bruyne. Some of his crosses were stupidly good. And then when he plays for Ukraine, he plays as the holding midfielder, as the anchor in midfield. I mean, it's just superb. The guy, Arsenal are challenging for top 4 next season, and they're going to give us a bloody hard time for it. They are going to do it. And I'm not worried because I think we've done good business as well. But Arsenal and Spurs could both get top 4 next season. I wouldn't be surprised.
What do you think of Chelsea then? Do you think, are you scared of them or not? Because I'm not really at the moment.
Koundé looks like that could be hijacked by Barcelona. I think Koundé would probably rather play at Barcelona than play for Chelsea. I think
it looks like they've got money. Apparently, they said they haven't got money, but they're spending money here, like everywhere. Rafinha 50 million, Lewandowski 45 million. They spent money all over the place. So yeah,
they sold De Ligt to Bayern, didn't they? Oh no, I'm thinking of no. So
that was
they
Juve.
sold
That
what's
was
it
Juve.
called? I forgot who it was now. They sold someone for big money, didn't they?
They're trying to get rid of Depay, aren't they? For like 20 million, something like that.
And that's one of the
25 million.
players that could be included in the deal to Sevilla, is what I was reading. They were looking
Oh,
at,
right. Okay. In the Koundé swap. Yeah, they love a swap, don't they, Sevilla? They love a swap. We gave him Lamela and they gave us Gil.
Brian Hill.
Yeah. Less said
Brian
about him.
Hill, actually, that's a really interesting one. You mentioned Brian Hill. He should have bloody shot. When the keeper was off his line, McGregor, he's like 40 years old. There's no way he's getting back. It just shows that he's not got that confidence yet. I actually quite like Brian Hill, but my prediction is that Hill is not going to be good enough for Spurs.
We're in the minority, I think, Josh, because I like Brian Hill, but I don't see him making it at Tottenham, really. I don't think.
He's like Lamela. I really loved Lamela. In fact, I adored Lamela. I adored him so much. And in fact, I always think, God, Lamela would have been really good in this Conte team. But it's not quite there. For Lamela, I think it was the injuries. For Hill, I just think it's the physicality, because he's not going to do that.
Yeah.
Is he going to come? This was the summer for him to go to the gym and put on a load of weight and do what Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain did when he done his Achilles and he came back like an absolute tank and turned into a central midfielder. It's just not going to do it. And
he's 60 kilos. He's 60 kilos. That's 9.5 stone. I don't think I weighed 9.5 stone since I was about 11 or 12. He's so skinny, Gil. He's so he needs to bulk up a bit. He needs to bulk up a little bit.
For me, he's a great player in Spain and he'll do great things in Spain, but it's not going to, or even in Italy, it won't work here. It just won't.
Unfortunately, it doesn't fit the system either, really.
It was a weird one as well, because Hill was not a player that I think we would have associated. I don't think he's a Conte player. I don't think Conte would have gone out and wanted to get him if, we didn't have Nuno. But then he
wasn't there at the time anyway.
So. Apparently, the only reason we looked at Gil in the first place, I know he was on loan at Eibar when we signed him. Well, he was at Sevilla because he came back when we signed him. Was because we were looking at Koundé. We were looking at Koundé and we scouted the rest of the team. We were scouting the rest of the team and we thought, wow, this guy's good. Paratici was like, oh, this guy's pretty good. He's, he had a decent season before. I think he was the Spain under-19s captain or something like that. And now I think he's the Spain under-21s captain.
France.
Who, Gil?
Oh, no, Gil, sorry.
Yeah, Gil. Yeah, I think that's why we're looking at him. He was doing well in the Spain youth teams and I think Spain under-21s captain now as well. So there's definitely quality there. As I said, I think he's
the senior national team as well. They love him in Spain. They think he's so talented.
Do you know what? We talk about Aaron Lennon. He is the left-sided Aaron Lennon because Aaron Lennon weighed about 8 stone as well. And Gil always goes on the outside, like Lennon. You never see Lennon come in the inside. He'll go on the outside, hit the byline and try and get the balls in, which is bad because he'll never score goals. Gil will never score goals. Lennon changed it. Towards the end of his career, he came into the box a little bit more, but they're very, very similar. They're base role.
Lennon's also quicker than Hill as well.
Yeah, not many are as quick as Lennon, were they? Jesus Christ.
Lennon played a bit on the left.
Seeing that, there was that Lennon goal in your montage and you started.
Yeah.
I love Aaron Lennon so much.
One of the few goals he scored.
Well, it's just one of those. It's just...
950 grand from Leeds. 950 grand from Leeds.
But I remember he was like one of the first players who, for me, brought a little bit of excitement in that team.
Oh, he was exciting.
Because when he came was before Bale, so...
Still playing.
There will only be one Aaron Lennon, as we always used to say.
Oh, I loved him. Absolutely adored him. Absolutely brilliant. That season, we signed Routledge from Crystal Palace for like 4 million. Yeah. Everyone was talking about Routledge. He got injured, so we threw Lennon in, and well, the rest is history. It was brilliant.
I think he was in a cup game or something. Lennon came on, or he started, and he was really, really good. And after that, Joel just played him every game after that, pretty much, because he was just so good.
Yeah. So. It was outstanding.
So, are we saying for players to go out? I heard Reguilon and Ndombele, Winks, the Celso are all left out the squad again, right? And is there anyone else you get rid of apart from Emerson? I don't think you get rid of Emerson, Josh.
Oh, I'm going to be really, really controversial, and it's not for this window, but next window, Lloris has to go. I love Lloris. He's been a hell of a servant for the club. But Oh my God, every time the ball is near him, I crap my pants, honestly. He is a great leader, supposedly a lovely guy, an amazing shot stopper. But seeing Force to come on gave me a bit of an epiphany with that one. And I thought, actually, at some point, we're going to need a new goalkeeper, a new starting goalkeeper. And I don't think it's a priority this window. But what I hope Spurs do is they sign someone up in January. I'd need to have a look at which goalkeepers might be available on frees, but I hope Spurs at least are looking at now for the future. And then obviously it's just all the usual suspects. I think Hill, for me, give him one more loan, and if it doesn't work out on his loan, and if he's not a revelation on his loan, he needs to go to play in England. Send him to Norwich City, please. You know, Norwich City, QPR, somewhere like that. And if he's not a revelation, then we've got to let him go. Other than that, I don't think it's a shock, any of the others. I don't think there's a surprise. Sanchez, Dyer.
I don't think Lloris is a shock. I don't think Lloris is a shock next year. He's going to be like 36, isn't he? He's going to be 35, 36.
I just think if there was a really good goalkeeper that you could get in this summer, I would act now.
Okay, but there isn't, I don't think, is there really?
But this was the problem. His contract was running out last season. We gave him a 2.5-year contract. Why did we give him a 2.5-year contract? Give him a year and a half, because he would have been on 100 grand a week.
We'll get some money from the MLS. He'll go to MLS or something, and we'll get some money.
He's like a beyond the. He's like a god figure in France because he's had like 150 caps, World Cup winner. He is a god.
Everyone in France is talking about Mike Maignan from
AC Milan keeper.
Because he's turned into one of the best goalkeepers in the world. The other thing I was thinking about is you're looking at goalkeepers. Jose Sarr at Wolves, unreal.
Incredible.
Unreal.
Martinez at Villa.
Unreal. But again, I think Spurs should look to sign a goalkeeper that's 24, 25, as opposed to same age as Lloris when we bought him, as opposed to a goalkeeper that's in their 30s or nearing their 30s. I think Spurs could do with someone that's really good from a young age, like a Maignan, offer whatever money for Maignan. Lloris,
I think he's around that age. Yeah, I think he's about 24, 25, isn't he?
Yeah, Maignan is a £50 million goalkeeper, but it's worth it if you see what difference Alisson made for that money, for even more money to Liverpool. You know, it's going to come.
Did they sign him? Did Milan sign him from? Was it Milan? Did they sign him from Lyon? Is it Lyon?
No, they signed him from
Nice or someone like that.
Nice, it was someone like that.
Lille, Nice.
Weren't we linked with him as well at the time?
I
Possibly.
think so.
We were linked with Onana for a
No,
lot.
you were right.
Onana, Ajax. Yeah.
Lille. He won the league with Lille. Maignan.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is it the one with spelled with N at the end? Isn't it right? I think it was the same goalkeeper. Yeah. We definitely were definitely.
Yeah, Mike Maignan was the one that won the league at Lille and played with Victor Osimhen, who me and Has.
Yeah, Osimhen. Yeah,
love it.
Well, Lille, you know, they had Renato Sanchez, then Botman, Renato Sanchez. Renato Sanchez is incredible. Renato Sanchez is the closest thing I've seen to Moussa Dembele in terms of his power from defensive midfield into attack. Is just sheer power and dribbling ability, and his discipline, because that's what Moussa Dembele had. He could drive it from our third of the pitch to the final third without having to shoot or play a through ball. He'd almost pass it sideways sometimes to a winger or even Eriksen. And so Moussa Dembele is very, very underrated because he never got the assists or goals, but what an incredible player. One of my favourite players to watch, and Renato Sanchez is one of those as well. So I don't know how Lille kept their players for as long as they did, but Botman, you know, Maignan, as you say, Botman is a top signing for Newcastle. He's
definitely. Oh, actually,
Hazard was at Lille as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Well, Lille have done that. They go through waves of being really good and then dropping out of it. And, you know, they had a great team and they did a great thing. I mean, PSG obviously bottled it, but they had a fantastic squad. When you look at it now, brilliant squad. Zeki Celik as well at right back, who did really well for them.
Jonathan David.
Yeah.
But,
do you know what? I was thinking of players in the French league. Alban Lafont is another really good goalkeeper.
Yeah.
23, 24 years old, plays at Nantes. He's a real talent as well. There's a lot of really good players in the French league, actually. We talk about it. A lot of people call it a farmers league, but actually, if you dig deep, there's some real talent in that league that's yet to be unearthed in the sort of major leagues. And I think that, when you think about it, there are options there. And there's going to be a player that we're not talking about now, that we're talking, raving about next season for their performances.
Well, this is the thing. This is the scouting department. The scouting department's got to move now when those players are worth 20 million, 15, 20 million, not when they're worth 50 or 60 million. So this is where Paratici and the rest of the scouting stuff, this is where they earn their money. Because Brentford are very good at it. Brentford are extremely good at it. Their scouting system, Leicester's scouting system, the players they've brought through year upon year upon year from France. I mean, Mahrez, Fofana. There's just the list goes on and on and on. They know what they're doing. Ndidi, there's they sign well. They sign very well because they look at players a year in advance. And we fail to do that. Leicester's system, they knew Chilwell was going. They knew Chilwell was going the season after his final season. They got 50 million from Chelsea. The season before, they signed James Justin from Luton in League One for £6 million. And every Leicester fan's like, this guy's better than Chilwell. It's unfortunate. Unfortunately, he got a big injury. He was out for the season. But James Justin is a serious player. Leicester do their homework.
I love him.
Do their homework.
Whether you play him but he's another one. He can play on the left and the right.
Yeah. Probably. I've never seen him on the right. He's young enough to adapt, isn't he? But
they just unearth gems really easily, Leicester, don't they? Really,
and that's why Leicester are going to be strong next season as well.
But remember, James Justin was at Luton, wasn't he? He was at Luton, if I remember correctly.
League One for like £6 million. Like, who knew who he was?
About Jed Spence, because Jed Spence was one of the highest performing players in the Championship. So was Ollie Skip, and we love Ollie Skip. James Justin's proven it. There are players. I think Harvey Barnes as well, wasn't he? Was he in the Championship?
He's a Leicester academy, but he'd done his business at West Brom. He had a couple of loan spells there and was incredible. But look, there are more. There are more. Michael Elise, Crystal Palace done some fantastic business.
Oh yeah, Eze as well.
Guahi. You mentioned Guahi. I'll be honest with you. I don't watch Liga a great deal, Bundesliga or La Liga. I watch Serie A. More than I watch Premier League and the Championship. And Olise was a huge signing from Reading. That boy's going to be top notch. And then Guahi, as you said, that Swansea team that Guahi was in, him and Cabango at centre back, basically got him into the playoffs because that was an average team. I think Cabango's still there as well, but Guahi, I would love Guahi. Chelsea made a big error letting him go. They made a lot of errors at centre back, to be honest with you. But Guahi's going to be, I think I never thought about him, but you mentioned him like middle centre back, Guahi. Yeah. I can see him there. I can see him there.
Well, this is it. The Championship is better than the vast majority of European leagues.
Yeah, 100%.
It is. It 100%. Is. And, why we worry, they're in a Championship. Well, sorry, if you're a young player that has proven yourself at the age of 21 that you're one of the best players in the Championship, you've been one of the main reasons for your team getting into the Premier League, who haven't been in the Premier League for God knows how many years. I just think we need to put a bit more respect on the guy's name, to be honest. I think it's like...
I think so. Yeah, and I hope Spence works out. And I really, really hope Spence works out.
I hope he proves me wrong. I really hope he proves me wrong.
Well, yeah,
I'm 50-50.
Touch him once he plays bad for us. Give him a season. He's young. And if he has a really bad season...
I'm not a fan of Doherty or Emerson. But just if Athletic Madrid want him on loan, just fucking loan him there because we're not getting any money for him.
Just get rid of Emerson.
Just move him on, and it gives Spence plenty of opportunities. It gives Spence plenty of opportunities to get in there. Or if Doherty ends up going, I just want 2 wing backs. Whatever happens, I want 2 wing backs. So Spence gets plenty of time. I want him to get the most time out of the 3. So, I think it'd be good for him. 21 years old. I'll tell you what, the business there, 12.5 million to 20, rising to 20. That is sensational business from Levy. That is in this market. That is
I think even the Basuma 25 to 35.
That's amazing signing.
That's why I don't think that's why we didn't go for a deep line Ward-Prowse Brozovic type player, because that deal was too much to turn down. He's a 50 million player. He saw him in 50, 60
Arsenal
million.
fans were begging for him.
Him and
Begging
Spence.
for him.
Him
And
and
we're going to see Zinchenko play centre mid now next to Partey, and Kieran Tierney playing at left back. Why are you laughing, Haz?
Sorry, just put Zinchenko at central midfield. I'm like, what?
He has played there a few times. He has played. Well,
Has he actually played there?
I think Ukraine. Ukraine, as he said, he plays there for Ukraine.
He starts there all the time.
I've always really liked Zinchenko as well. I think he's brilliant, but we never made room for him. So
I don't think they're going to be fighting for top four, Arsenal. I don't think they're going to be fighting for top four. But
I think they're going to be there. I think they're going to be there because they challenged us right the way there with a much worse squad. I'm not equally getting overhyped with them I mean, I never get hyped by Arsenal anyway, but you know what I mean. I'm not one of those people that's going to jump on the bandwagon. Oh my God, they're incredible because they played well in pre-season. Pre-season, you can't really judge. Chelsea were dog. Like we'll go and put 10 past Chelsea if they play like that against us. Do you know what I mean?
Arsenal's business certainly isn't done. Arsenal's business certainly isn't done. If they get Tielemans in, which they can, I think it's a very smart piece of business. If they get Tielemans in as well, I think that's very, very good business.
But like Chelsea, for me, I just don't really know what their plan is, if that makes sense. Like, because they haven't bought a striker yet, so.
Yeah, they moved Lukaku one, didn't they? They moved Lukaku one. What they've done at centre back is absolute sacrilege. Last summer, they let Guahi go. Zuma, you say what you want about Zuma kicking cats.
I like Zuma. I rated him.
He's still a very good. He's a very good centre back. That West Ham team without Zuma in it is struggling defensively. Who else did they lose last summer?
Christensen left, didn't he, as well?
Christensen and Rudiger have gone this summer. They lost
Rudiger's
someone else
massive,
last summer.
I think.
They lost someone else last summer. I can't remember who it was, but yeah, they've made some big errors. They made some. Tomori to AC Milan.
Oh yeah, they sold him
to AC Milan, and he won the Scudetto in the first team. Tomori was magnificent. So they've lost 5 centre backs in the last two seasons. They signed Koulibaly, who for me was our best option at middle centre back. The guy is just incredible. He's strong, powerful leader. If the ball goes over the top, he's got the pace. We talk about kick your face off type centre backs. I like kick your face off type centre backs, and Koulibaly is one of them. He's one of them centre backs, like a bit like a Vidic. If there's a 50-50, doesn't matter who you are, even like a Luis Suarez, right? You'll sort of be like, okay, I better hold back here because Koulibaly is a big boy. He's like 17 stone, and he will kick your face off, and he's quick. He's like, it's incredible. He's an incredible player, Koulibaly. But they need a striker, as you said. They need a striker. So
no, Koulibaly is exactly the player we needed as centre back. Exactly what I'm talking about. Because Tottenham do need a tall centre back, a physical presence, someone that is built like a fridge, someone that fits the body type of Eric Dyer, but has more quality on the ball.
Yeah, no, I agree with the body type. Yeah, he's 6'2".
That's Koulibaly, basically.
Romero's not cool. We need someone that's going to win those headers. We need a beast at the back, basically. We need our Van Dijk. And I would say Romero is our Van Dijk. Don't get me wrong, but we need someone that's going to power forward and score 4 headers in the Premier League corners.
He's very different to Van Dijk, isn't he, Romero? But uniquely brilliant.
When I say our Van Dijk, he's our dynamite at the back. He's our star player.
But do you think we should be looking at like more experienced centre half options? Like I know Chiellini's gone to LA now, but like someone like a Bonucci or like an experienced centre half for like a couple years, and then
someone that's 28, 32.
Like De Vrij, Inter.
De Vrij is good, but again, I'm not sure he's tall enough. I think actually Spurs should have gone all out for De Ligt.
Yeah, he's gone.
I'm in that camp because a lot of people are like, no, we can't afford him. But of course we can afford 50, 60 million pounds. Of course, you spent 45 million pounds on Sanchez. So 4 or 5 years ago. So in the current market, we should have gone.
We easily could have got him.
The problem is his contract. That's the problem. He was on 350 grand at Juventus. Harry Kane, best striker in the world, is on 200 grand. So, that's the same with Frankie de Jong. Frankie de Jong is probably the best technical centre midfielder, one of the best in the world.
I really like Tapsoba at Leverkusen. when I've watched.
Oh, Tapsoba, yeah. I don't watch a lot of Bundesliga, but I've seen his name bandied about a lot.
The other one that's really good, Maxence Lacroix is a really good
Wolfsburg,
player.
the Wolfsburg.
Yeah, but he's not. He's got a lot to still give.
Guy, the Wolfsburg.
You know, if we're going to talk about Wolfsburg, if there's any player I was going to sign from Wolfsburg, it would actually be Mbabu at right back. He's the only one that I think is good enough. But I don't think, again, I wouldn't be going to buy them. I'm just saying they're young players with.
He moved though, didn't he? Mbabu moved. Who did he go to? West Ham. I think he went to West Ham.
Has he? No, I think he's still there.
No, he went.
Well, the other player that I really like, but again, he doesn't fit the mould. I'm a big fan of Wesley Fofana at Leicester.
Oh,
But he's more of like he could play sort of like right centre half, couldn't he? Really?
He
Yeah,
can do anything.
Tommy, with your defensive scouting hat, Wesley Fofana, he's almost too similar to Romero, though, isn't he?
he's quite aggressive. He's quite aggressive, but I'd say less aggressive. I'd definitely say less aggressive. He was great scouting work from Leicester because they spent big money on him when he wasn't that known. They spent £40 million on Fofana, and he only had like a year and a half in the French league. But because he was 20, they were like, okay, we'll fucking spend this £40 million. Let's do it. I can see potential.
You're laughing at Lacroix because of FIFA, aren't you? Because he's just like the most pacey defender on FIFA.
Yeah.
It's not
But
about FIFA. I must admit, I've never used him on FIFA, but I know, having watched a few games, he does look good. And I think France under 21s he's been playing.
Before it's very difficult to get into France and under 21s as a centre back. Badiashile is very good. Monaco. Great Monaco.
He was one that was thinking, yeah, Badiashile is really, really good, but he's been linked with Real Madrid, hasn't he?
Yeah, but he's left-footed as well, so he can play in left centre-back row. We talk about France. He's under 21's captain. To get into the French team as a centre-back is incredibly difficult right now, and he's the next up-and-coming one. Really, he's a brute as well. At 21 years old, he's 6'2", 6'3", about 15, 16 stone. He's got a big future, big future. Badiashile and Gvardiol. Everyone knows about Gvardiol, but he's
Gvardiol is he's the obvious number one. You've got to sign him at all costs, but he's not going this summer. We know he's not going. He's just signed a new deal. He's going to go next summer, 100%. But then we're going to do battle with Juventus. We're going to do battle with Bayern Munich, we're going to do battle with Real Madrid, we're going to do battle with Barcelona, we're going to do battle with Chelsea, we're going to do battle with City, we're going to do battle with Liverpool, we're going to do battle with every single good club under the sun will want Gvardiol. Simple.
Does he have a release clause of like, is it 39 million next summer? Is it 39 or 40 million next summer?
If it is, wow.
Something like that.
It is,
yeah.
If it is,
because if you want to buy him now, he'll cost like 80 million, won't he, or something like crazy like that?
Easy.
But if you spend that money on Gvardiol, you're not a fool to do it either. Because
might as well just do it at this point.
He has only had one season. The thing is, he has only had one season, but he comes from a good stock because he comes from.
He absolutely minced us when he was what? He was 18 years old playing for Dinamo Zagreb. And he absolutely minced us in the Europa League. He had Harry Kane and he had, I think, was it Kane and Son? I can't remember if Kane wasn't playing because he was injured. Whoever it was either Son or Kane, whoever was playing up top, he just had him in his back pocket the whole game.
Yeah, he's pacey. He's got a bit of everything. What makes him unique is his passing ability down the line. He's not like an Alderweireld, smash it up there.
Yeah, it's like.
But his passing ability is fantastic. Like 1-2s, he'll get in attacking positions. He's very good.
I'd still watch the Inter situation. I'm not,
Bastoni
waiting room is not happening, right?
No.
It won't. But Skriniar, we've gone for twice. He said no twice. Could it be different under Conte? Because I think Skriniar's the one that's more likely to go.
We're still linked with him, like constantly.
I think the centre-back, if I'm being totally honest, I think the centre-back, we will get one, but it will be a surprise. It won't necessarily be the name that we were thinking of. And for me...
I hope we need one desperately. I would love Skriniar. Middle centre. He doesn't play middle centre-back for Inter because, De Vrij plays there. Bastoni left centre-back. Skriniar
That's why I
middle,
suggested
right
De
centre-back.
Vrij because I was
But
like,
he can play there easily. He can play middle centre-back, no problem.
I think De
Skriniar.
Vrij will cost like, if we went for De Vrij, won't he cost like 10 million or something very low?
Yeah, apparently they're willing to take 10. He's 31 years old, so they're willing to take 10. But again, it's like you didn't spend any money on Langley, so I want to spend big on another centre back that will have a future. Do you know what I mean? Because Langley, no optional fees, probably going back next season. I want.
I'm not
You might as well go for the
I'll
Vardiol then.
I'd go
Really?
all out. I know it probably won't happen.
Yeah.
In fact, almost certainly won't happen. But whatever money AC Milan want for Fikayo Tomori, you want a homegrown player. The
You're
guy
just
is
talking
so
about him.
good. What would
Yeah,
Chelsea
well,
do?
yeah.
Chelsea must have a buyback clause at some point. Otherwise, what the hell were they doing? Because the
Yeah,
guy
I mean, in general, letting Rudiger and Christiansen's contract run down as well. Yeah, you've been silly at centre back. Really silly.
I think we have to address the issue. I don't think we can finish the next 2 weeks and not have one. We have to go out and buy one for me.
Kimpembe might be available. He's not as good as he was, but he's still a talented player. Schlotterbeck, who went to, I think he went from Freiburg to Dortmund. We missed out on him. But I suppose if you're a young player playing in Germany, how do you say no to Dortmund? I mean, everything the club stands for. You know, I obviously I don't support a German team, but you know, I don't know anyone who doesn't like Dortmund.
For me, like I've always liked Dortmund more than Bayern Munich, but then Bayern Munich have more of a historical, you know, of being like a bigger club. So like they had back in the day, like Robben and Ribery. I mean Müller. You just have to admire Bayern Munich really.
But Bayern Munich are the big dogs in the Bundesliga. Yeah. They're the big dogs. Every other club in the Bundesliga seems to be a selling club. Even Leverkusen.
Dortmund are a selling club, I think, as well.
Every player has a price. Every player has a price at Dortmund, Leipzig.
In Germany, though, Bayern Munich, every single year without fail, you expect them to be at least in the Champions League semi-finals. Every year. You think quarterfinals as the bare minimum, you'd expect them to be in the semi-finals again this year. Do you know what I mean? It's like Bayern is one of the big boys of Europe, let alone just...
Did you hear the rumours? Have you heard the rumours about Kane?
Oh, God, here we go. I didn't want to say anything because I was like, Nagelsmann's comments. I was like...
Do you think he signed a new contract? Do you think he signed a new contract, Kane?
Yeah,
of course.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think he'll sign a new contract.
But I think it's a wake-up call for Spurs. It's a call for Spurs to get their act together and offer him the deal now and make him the highest-paid player in the league, potentially.
400 grand a week? Is that too much? I don't know.
Literally double their wages. That's like
350 at least. So, but then the thing is, you've got the difficulty of Son. Son and Kane, you're going to both have to pay the same amount.
$500,000 a week for both of them, basically.
You wouldn't even be
as in, like, well, together there'll be like $1 million a week for Kane and Son, really.
Son just signed a new contract for less money than Ndombele last season, didn't he?
That's crazy, isn't it? Because Ndombele is just like wasting.
Yeah, but clearly Son's not in it for the money because Son doesn't just get money from Spurs. He gets money from all the adverts that he does in South Korea, all the sponsors.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
He was one of the faces of Wimbledon, again, because of, was it Ralph Lauren?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But also Son's dad just won't allow him to do much without like his own permission. So.
A third of South Korea, a third of the South Korean population support Spurs because of Son. A third. It's a 51 million population. We're talking 17 million because of Son.
Mad, isn't it?
Just He's a god.
One player.
He's a god. He's a god. I watch a lot of cricket, and Tendulkar is a god in India.
It's like that, yeah.
And Son is like that in South Korea. Like if he drops down, just everyone loses their shit.
Do you think he's going to retire at Tottenham? Well, not retire. He might go to somewhere like later in his career. But do you think he's just going to stay for the next 2 or 3 years?
He's 30 now, isn't he? He doesn't look 30, but he's 30 now.
I can see Son staying until his career finishes.
I think he might go to like MLS or something at 35. But
I'm not sure actually. I have a feeling if Son was going to go anywhere, he'd go back to Germany more than MLS.
Leverkusen. Is it Leverkusen? I think.
I don't know. I think that Kane is the more likely to go to MLS towards the end of his career. But I think as
Like
long
Bale.
as that Shearer record is in sight, Kane ain't going nowhere until that's
No.
Yeah, no chance. I see Son. I think Son, a little bit like Luis Suarez, might go to Spain because everyone wants to play for either Real Madrid or Barcelona at one point in their career. So if he goes anywhere, I could see him at Barcelona or Real Madrid just to finish his career last season, 2 seasons.
I don't just like his characters sort of suits a club like that for me. I think
Yeah.
Son is too just nice. I think that's what he's too nice.
But if he's available, Barcelona, Real Madrid would be. You'd be stupid not to snap him up. You'd be stupid not to snap him up.
But I just can't see us selling him ever, really.
Put it this way, Spurs will sell him if they can't tie him to a new deal because Son is worth so much money that if Son ever did leave the club, you're talking world record fee.
I think so too. Because he has such a huge market in Asia and his career, like you said, it's
his
just
commercial value. And remember, there was a documentary. It was an independent documentary that interviewed a load of South Koreans. I think it was Morden, Mitcham and Morden area.
Oh no, I haven't seen
Southwest London. It's like a big South Korean community. And they said that they would support whichever team he is on. They're not Tottenham fans. They're Korea fans and they're Son fans. One of the funny moments, actually, I shared this with you guys from Rangers yesterday. We got kept in the away end for like 15 minutes post kickoff. Then the few people wearing Spurs shirts and a few South Korean flags stayed behind with us in the Rangers end. When we clocked on, we were all singing "Nice one, Sonny, nice one, Son" to them, and they were all just waving their flags back, going crazy. It was amazing.
Do you know what? At the start of last season, second game of the season, played Watford, right? I was at the ground. I was right behind him. Actually Stelios the previous week when we beat, who did we beat? Man City. He made a video.
Oh yeah.
He made a video about with Son doing his business against Man City. Loads of views on his channel. He was like, yeah, I've got like 20,000 views. He was like, just take the footage, edit it yourself, and I'll guarantee you get loads of views. So I'd done it. I got about 8,000 views at the Watford game. I was like, okay, I'll take a few videos, see what happens. And I took a video right behind him when he took the free kick. It wasn't. It was a cross basically, and it went in, and I posted it within half hour. I had 100,000 views.
Oh wow!
Now, if you look at it now, I still get 2,000 views a month. It's on 310,000 views.
Just because it's Son.
My next biggest viewership after that's about 5,000-6,000 people, and that was probably to do with South Korea as well. 300,000 people.
Jesus Christ.
308,000 people is incredible. I got like 600 subscribers just for that.
Basically, I just need to take a video of Son and just post it.
About 1.6 thousand comments. About 1.6 thousand comments. I saw it was incredible.
I have a selfie with Son when we played Ajax in the Champions League first leg and he was injured. Was it Ajax or was it Leipzig?
Leipzig, I think.
Yeah, he was suspended and I got a selfie with him. It was the best 5 minutes of my life because I got a selfie with Glenn Hoddle and a selfie with Son in the space of 5 minutes.
Amazing.
Because obviously the work that I do, I'm always walking around, going in early, watching what the guys doing the media are doing, what the broadcasters are doing, to chat to them, to learn from them. I mean, I've met loads of people doing that. You walk around, Gus Poyet, give me a photo and all of that. And Son, oh my God, the guy is the loveliest guy I have ever met. So selfless. Everything that you think about him, he's adorable. He's adorable. He's just like, don't you want to take him home and give him a cuddle? Do you know what I mean? That is Sonny. He's just everything about him. He's the way that he has a laugh. He's got a larger than life personality. The guy's hilarious. All the Spurs videos when he's in, he's absolutely jokes. And to put all of that, he's just a bloody brilliant footballer. I would say easily top three players I've seen in my lifetime at Spurs. Easily.
I think even like now, in terms of there's this whole Son versus Salah argument. I think Son's a better player personally.
Of course he is.
It's tricky because Salah was unplayable 4 years ago. He was unplayable.
Yeah, but I remember I loved Salah before he went to Liverpool. When he was at Basel, I wanted us to sign him I was really impressed. Do you remember when we got to the semi-finals of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Europa
And he
League
tore us apart on the
and
AVB.
Adebayor did the weirdest like penalty run-up you've ever seen.
Yeah.
And oh my God, he was brilliant. And that was when he was young. And then I thought, having watched him play against us for Basel, for Chelsea, for Fiorentina, and now
Roma, I think it's Roma. Or,
no, he was at both.
No, he played at Basel and then he went to Chelsea, then he went to Roma.
No, he went to Fiorentina, then
I
to
think you
Roma.
might have had a loan. I think you might have had a loan from Chelsea to Fiorentina, then signed for Roma. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what happened.
I know he tore us apart when he was at Basel.
He played against us in the Europa League when we had Soldado.
Yeah, he tore us apart. I remember.
He's got like a 24 pack, and you can see why, because the guy is so strong. When he was at his best, so powerful. Acceleration is incredible. He was one of the most unplayable players
Oh, right, okay.
I've seen. He is incredible, man. He's
Mohamed
incredible.
Salah.
This, to be fair, this is a birthday present for my mate that supports Liverpool. But I just realised that was there when we was talking about him. But Son, here's the difference. If Son was in that Liverpool team, how many goals would he score?
40 goals, maybe. I don't know.
Son on the left. Yeah, do you know what Liverpool fans?
40 goals.
I think you get like 30, 40 goals. Yeah, easily. I think they're going to miss
player?
Mane a lot more than if they sold Salah, personally.
I think it's
Mane's
easy to
just
get.
a
I
better
think it's
player.
easy to get on that hype because the last 3 months of last season he was not good, was he, Salah? But I think overall, when he's at his best, he is insane. He's an insane player.
So before I close off the stream, I'm going to say Spurs title charge, yes or no. So Josh, yes or no? Spurs title charge.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Okay, that's a no then. Okay, Tommy, are we finishing in the top 2 or next season or not?
In the top 2, well, I think we could have a title challenge. I don't think we're going to get anywhere near the title. Maybe the first 6 months. Maybe the first 6 months will be.
All the tools are there. All the tools are there.
I think there's potential for us to do it, personally.
I just don't think anything.
You just mentioned it. We've got the best strike duo in the league. We might have the best three-pronged attack in the league with Richarlison's backup. So, we've got strength and depth in places we never had before. We move Eric Dyer out, and Longley does really well, and Spence shows his potential. Then definitely, it's the defence for me. It's all about defence.
I agree with you.
I will say that Kane will be top scorer in the Premier League next season.
For me, already now, Kane and Son look sharper than they were before.
Kane looks so sharp, like it's nuts.
Controversial opinion. I think Haaland's going to flop in the first season.
I hope so.
I think he's going to flop a little bit. I think he is.
I think Nunes is going to flop. Actually.
Haaland or Nunes, who's going to get more goals?
Nunes is incredible. Nunes is the next. He looks like Fernando Torres. Every time I see him play, he just looks like Fernando Torres to me.
Could you imagine?
I remember Torres, man. He was so good back in the day.
Kane and Son both got more goals than Haaland and.
I think that's possible. I don't think that's not.
Both have if Tottenham are getting top 2, both of them need 20 plus goals
in the Premier League. Yeah. Then you have 10 from Kulusevski, 5 or 10 from Richarlison, and there you go.
Yeah, I won't say title challenge because I don't want to say anything and it bite me in the arse. But
I said it this morning. I'm sure it's going to be memed if we don't have.
I think Kane could break the Premier League goal scoring record next season.
Interesting.
I think it's going to be tough because Man United are going to be strong. They got rid of the top old past it players and managers, Solskjaer and Rangnick. Matic, Mata, Pogba. They got rid of a lot of dead weight. And for me, Ten Hag's the best appointment since Ferguson. I think it's the most ambitious appointment since Ferguson. So, people are judging him on last season. Well, the season before, they finished second. They finished runners-up to Man City. And they improved. They improved last summer. Nobody could see that coming, what happened last season. They brought Ronaldo in, the best player of his generation, him and Messi, the last 10 years. Varane won about 5 Champions Leagues with Real Madrid. Sancho
Ronaldo
as well.
is technically the greatest player of all time in terms of goals.
So when they finished runners-up the season before and then they had the season they did last season, nobody could see that coming. They're going to be strong next season. They're going to be very strong.
They're going to be strong, but then when we were talking about, who's going to get the goals, it's going to be Bournemouth, it's going to be Brentford, it's going to be Southampton. These are the games that Kane's going to be scoring 2-3 goals. You know, if Kane has 5 goals in 3 games in pre-season, goes to Roma, probably scores at least another 1. You're looking at more goals than games in pre-season.
It depends. It depends where he stations himself in the game. If he plays ultra deep, it's going to be it is going to be difficult for him to get those goals. If he stays in the box, there's no better finisher in the league.
That was what I liked about him yesterday. Was he was a lot further forward.
I think you muted us, or it's my sound.
Yeah, I can't hear you, Has.
Mic's down. Right.
No, you can't hear you, Has.
Oh, I was just thinking. Oh, man. I was just thinking. What's up, brother? Microphone. I think your microphone's gone, man. It's a good job. I think we're at the end, aren't we? I think we're finishing up. Just play your outro. Where's the sponsor on your kit?
Oh, yeah, it's like...
Yeah, he's back.
I don't know
Where's
what
the
happened.
sponsor on your kit, man?
Yeah, where's your asthma?
And it just got washed out. Remember, I think it was
Okay.
red.
That's
red,
one of the
red,
best
wasn't it?
kits. That is one of the best kits.
It's the Van der Vaart. I've got Van der Vaart on the back.
It's the Van der Vaart.
League one.
It's the William Gallas, Yunus Kabul header away at Arsenal.
Yeah, exactly.
Super.
I mean, it's one of my favourite kits. I'm going to wear it tomorrow because I play football on a Monday sometimes. So,
Fair enough.
yeah. So I think we'll just close it off. So, finally, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.